All right, mama. So today, what things outside of giving birth can lead to pelvic floor weakness? Let's talk about it. So again, I want to give a shout out to the viewer by the name of E, because E asked this question and I thought it was a great one to make a video about. So thank you, E. Number one, outside of pushing and birthing, what can cause weakness? Chronic coughing and sneezing. If you have a condition where you are coughing or sneezing repeatedly, and that's happening repeatedly, I don't know what I said, repeatedly, and that's happening day after day after day, and it is a lot of pressure and a lot of stress on your core, on your pelvic floor, that can lead to pelvic floor weakness. Your bathroom habits, that's number two, specifically constipation. And lots of us are actually really backed up and we don't even realize it. But if you are chronically constipated and you are having hard stools that are building up inside of your system, and then you go to the restroom and you're sitting for a long time, or you're struggling to push and get that stool out, that can definitely lead to pelvic floor weakness. And specifically, it can really affect or cause a pelvic organ prolapse. Number three is exercise and training. A lot of times, mamas, we are actually doing too much too soon for where our bodies are. And if you're running, climbing, lifting, anything, and it doesn't even have to be like a really challenging exercise for it to be too much too soon for your body. But if you are experiencing leaks or pain during exercise, after exercise, that could be a good indication that you're doing too much too soon, and that can lead to pelvic floor dysfunction and pelvic floor weakness. Number four, chronically and constantly, well, if it's chronic, it's probably constant, but repeatedly bearing down. And this is a huge one, mamas. Oftentimes, we don't even realize that we're kind of cheating to get strength by bearing down on our pelvic floor. So let's say you go to lift up a heavy box or to lift a kid up or move something that's, quite heavy for you. A lot of times, mamas, we might think we're contracting our abdominal wall when really we are pushing and bearing down. And that can cause lots of pelvic floor issues, dysfunction, and weakness. Number five, mamas, y'all know I couldn't resist doing Kegels. Yes, you heard me right. Doing your pelvic floor exercises or pelvic floor training can actually cause weakness, or it can help to support weakness. Is that even a thing, like support weakness? But yes, when you have a pelvic floor that's already too tight, Kegels can actually make things worse. And if you're a mama like me who already had a pelvic floor that was tight and you're just squeeze and release and squeeze and release and squeeze and release all day long, your pelvic floor can get weaker, okay? So you need to make sure you're actually a super duper perfect candidate for Kegels before you just start doing Kegels, because the very thing that's meant to strengthen your pelvic floor can actually cause weakness. And number six, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. That way this information can spread to so many more mamas, and I would be deeply grateful if you would do that. All right, but for real though, number six, which is kind of like a bonus tip. Any and everything that puts too much stress and strain and pressure down can lead to pelvic floor weakness. That could be anything. The way you exercise, the way you move, the way you lift things, the way you go from sitting to standing. So many things can cause weakness if we're not mindful and aware of how we're moving our bodies. Now, I know that might seem vague and just too overgeneralized, but really, mamas, there's so many things that can lead to weakness in the core and pelvic floor, which is why it's so important that you are connected with someone, either a good pelvic floor PT or someone like me, a pelvic floor exercise specialist and coach who can guide you and help you to see Am I bearing down? Am I putting pressure down? Am I moving in a way that's going to cause too much stress and strain on my pelvic floor? So anything in general really could cause pelvic floor weakness. This is what I want you to do now. Click right here and watch the next video.